Okay, hello again. Welcome to my class. My name is Mr. Toops. So you want to get a piece of paper and take down some notes. My email is my last name, my first initial, at pcsb.org. And that's where you will email me if you have a question. All right, again, welcome to the 2021 school year. And this class is MCR. Do you know what that stands for? MCR stands for Math for College Readiness. And guess what? I looked at the book, and I think this is going to be an excellent class for you guys. So those of you who know that your math skills are not really that good, or those of you who want to just make them better, this is a perfect class for you. If you do everything that I ask you to do, you will succeed. And 5 years from now, you remember how this helped you out. So let's take a look. Now look, I have a worksheet, and it's really something you should have already learned, but I'm not sure that everyone has, and it's real important, okay? So you will be getting your times tables charts, or chart. And the way I do it is, this stands for name, date, and period. So I would go ahead, maybe if you work in your room, close your door. If you work at the table, make sure there's no distraction. But you start counting by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? And 10, 12, 14, etc., etc. Then you go to your threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Close your eyes and try to memorize it. And then you can test yourself. 6 times 7, 42. 8 times 8, or 6 times 8, 48. 8 times 8, which is what I wanted to do before, is 64. Okay? So, if your mom can buy you flashcards and you can work with your mom, your dad, or your brother, sister, anyone, or even work by yourself, you need to learn these. Okay? We're going to quiz each other in class, and you must learn these. Okay? We may stand up, and if you miss it, you sit down. If you make it all the way, you get a snack. Okay? And I know that kind of puts you on the spot, but so be it. It will help you. Okay? We're not trying to embarrass anybody. We're just trying to make you a better student. Now, you have to do your part, okay? All right, so let's get away from the times tables. And what we can do before we do that is put a little smile on his face, which I guess he already has. Maybe put a little more hair up here so he doesn't look like your teacher. Okay, in any event, let's go on. On a new sheet of paper, put day 1 and copy this down. Again, name, date, and period. And you'll be coming on the 24th. So copy that down. Okay, there it is. And so let's work some of this. Well, you have some numbers here. You have real numbers, which are symbolized by that. And then you have imaginary numbers. Imaginary numbers are going to be algebra 2. So I'm not going to talk to you about that. Okay, you can deal with that later. It's not too bad. Just listen. Whole numbers. So copy this down. Whole numbers start with 0. Maybe put a little mark under that. And they keep going up. Natural numbers start with 1, no 0. You might want to mark that down. So put a 0 with an X through it. No 0. Integers. I remember walking into my math teacher's class, and it was -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, ... Do you remember seeing that around the chalkboard or whiteboard? All right, rational numbers is a number that can be written as a fraction. Let's take an integer. Let's take 5. 5 can be written as a fraction. Therefore, it's rational. Okay? Let's see what else. So a rational number stops. So if it stops, it's rational. If it repeats, okay, so stops would be like 2.45 and it stops, nothing else. Repeats would be like 2.4555, etc. Okay, there it is. An irrational number is a number that doesn't stop. So it does not stop. So not stop, and it does not repeat. So it's the opposite of a rational number. So pi, which is 22 over 7. So on your calculator, and I'm going to grab one. I think I have one hanging right here. In fact, this is the calculator I think you should buy. It's got some trig on it, and it shouldn't cost you much. It's Casio FX 260 Solar. Really good little calculator. So take, clear it out, 22 divided by 7, and you see it's 3.14, which is pi, but it goes on, and no numbers repeat. So pi is an irrational number. Also, your radicals, like the square root of 5, doesn't repeat. Watch. Press 5, shift, square root is way down there. That's why you got to hit the shift key. And notice there are no numbers that repeat. It looks like the 7 and 7, but your calculator actually rounds it. Okay? So those are the numbers, and now we're going to try and see if we know. So look up here. -3. Well, let's see what that is. -3 is a real number. So all of these are real numbers. So we'll just say all of these are real. So put a fancy R. Maybe that one didn't come out too good. So put 2 lines and then a fancy R. So all of those are real numbers. Now, -3. -3 is not a whole number. It's not a natural number. It's not back here. But it is an integer. And you can write it as a fraction. So it's an integer. And they use a Q for rational. Don't ask me why, but we're going to do it also. So if it's a Q, it's rational. You might say, well, why? Well, because you can write -3 over 1. You can write it as a fraction. And if you take -3 divided by 1, it becomes -3. So it stops. If it stops, it's rational. Let's keep going. 0. 0 is a whole number, so put a W. Okay, and I guess I missed the W on this one. Okay, 0 is not a natural number, but it is an integer. So put integer. And I'm going to say you can put 0 over 1. 0 over 1 is going to be 0. 1 goes into 0 0 times. So I'm going to say it is also a rational number. Now we can verify that one. You might want to look that one up. So put a star by that. Okay? Let's go on. 1/2 is 0.5. It's a decimal. So if it's a decimal, it's not going to be a whole number, not going to be a natural number, not going to be an integer. See, there's no fractions, no decimals. But you can write 0.5 as a fraction. Like this is called the 10th position. You might remember that, okay? And you need to. So it's no 1, so it's 10th, 100th, 1000th, etc. So it's 5 over 10, which reduces to 1/2. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 two. So since it can be written as a fraction, it is rational. So put a Q here. The square root of 3 is irrational. Okay, now you might say, well, wait, what about the square root of 4? The square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so that would not be irrational. But the square root of 3 is 1.7 and a bunch of numbers in the back. So this one is irrational. So put IRR for irrational. Okay, number 5, or 5, is a whole number, natural number, whole, natural. It's an integer. Okay, and you can write it as a fraction, so therefore it is rational. So put a Q. Remember that Q, okay? There it is. And that's part of your lesson. Let's go on. All right, the next thing we're going to do here is, let me find my notes from before. I tried to do this yesterday, but technical difficulties. But I think I have some of those worked out. So you're going to have to be patient with me as I learn what I'm doing here. All right, and for some reason, I'm not finding my notes from before, so just give me a second. All right, so let's talk, and since I don't see them, I'm going to have to use the book. And it's not a bad idea to grab the book. Okay, so let me see. And I'd really rather not. There, and not there. Well, that's weird. Maybe the wind blew it away. All right, so I'm going to grab a book. So give me a second. All right, here's my book right here. Now we went through all the different types of numbers, so let's go on. There's also something called prime numbers. So put prime numbers. And by the book, 1 is not a prime number. So it goes 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. 2, 3, 4 is not a prime number. 5 is. 7, 11. Now let's talk about what a prime number is. 13. Okay, so 1 is not included. All right, a prime number is a number whose only factors are 1 times itself. In other words, 1 times 2. Nothing else. 1 times 3. Now 4 is a composite. So put composite. It's a mixture. Like 4. 4 is 1 times 4, but it's also 2 times 2. So you got prime numbers and composite numbers there. So write that down. Even numbers. So put even. Even numbers, believe it or not, 0 is part of an even number. So it goes like -6, -4, -2, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay? Even number is divisible by 2. And it can be negative, and it does include 0. Okay? All right, let's go on. Odd numbers. Odd numbers do not include 0. So 0 is not part of it. So it's going to go -7, -5, -3, -1, and then it's going to go 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. An odd number is not divisible by 2. So not divisible by 2. Copy that down. You're going to have to go home and memorize this. All right, it's just part of what you need to do. But make sure you have your notes for your work. All right, let's talk about symbols. Now, I can remember being in school, and I didn't know what these symbols meant. So let's talk about that. Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. All right, here's the way I do it. So put down -5 and 6. Well, we know a positive number is always bigger than a negative number. So Pac-Man is going to eat, you might have heard of Pac-Man, is going to eat the bigger number. So make sure the open side eats the bigger number. Okay? Watch this one. I want you to try this one. Try that one. Which one is bigger, -2 or -7? Well, a lot of kids say -7, but the bigger the negative, the smaller it is. So it should go like this. Let me tell you what. Are you better off if you owe $7 or if you owe $2? Think of the number line. Here's 0. Here's -2. Here's -7. Which one is closer to 0? See, the closer to 0 is the bigger number. So that one's kind of tricky. All right, so make sure you understand that. All right, let's go on. All right, we got through all of that. Greater than or equal to. So let's try this one. Let's try numbers between, copy this down, -3 and 7. So draw a number line, put -3. You don't have to put all the tick marks, okay? You can if you want. Now, it's in between, so put an open 0. It doesn't include. See, it's in between. However, if I said all the numbers greater than or equal to, all right, let's try another one. Let's try this one. So put -3, and that little line under here means you color it in. It means 3 is an acceptable answer. And then greater goes this way. Less would go the other way. And that's how you graph those. Now you're going to have the book. If you get stuck, you can ask for help. All right, let's see what else there is to it. Absolute value. I always like this one because I know it's about football time. So put absolute value. I'm almost done. Absolute value looks like this. So put -5. The absolute value is always positive. You can put a plus if you want. the absolute value of 5, some kids put the opposite, and that's not what it is. It's always positive. So put always positive, okay? However, if you have a negative on the outside like this, copy that one down. The only thing that changes here is the negative 5. So put a 5, and since you got the negative on the outside right here, it's going to make that a negative 5. It's kind of tricky, all right? And that is different than this. See, this is not absolute value. So this is a negative times a negative. That's called a double negative. This is not a double negative. See, here you got to do the absolute value first. So make sure you understand that a negative times a negative is a positive. 2 negatives make a positive. All right, now it's your turn. Try this one. Put try and put negative 7, absolute value, and put a negative, and then put negative, negative 7. 2 different problems, but I want you to try both. All right, well, here is a double negative. Negative times a negative is a positive. Here, the absolute value of a negative 7 is 7, but you got this negative on the outside, which makes it a negative 7. Kind of tricky, but you need to know it. Okay? So your assignment, you're going to start on page 10. And those of you who are at home, I'm going to upload this work. And those of you in the classroom or at home, you can watch the video at any time to go back over this. I'm sure the answers are in the back of the book, although I hadn't looked, and it looks like they are. So I want you to check them. And I want you to do the odd. I'm not sure how many yet. So let's just say 1 to 58. And here we're going to do all. And then we'll pick up wherever we left off. Like, for example, number 58, and I'll do this one for you. You have a 3 plus 3 and then a circle, and then 9 minus 3. Well, 3 plus 3 is 6, and then 9 minus 3 is 6, so that would be equal. That's it. Very simple. All right, I hope this helped you. Have a good morning. Watch it, learn the times tables. Okay, it's not going to hurt you to do that, and I expect it. If you're driving in the car with your mom, she can quiz you. Don't be embarrassed. Okay, I've had seniors learning their times tables. And you need them for fractions, and you're going to need them for factoring. And if you plan on going further, I promise you, they will help you. And at one day, you might say, you know what, I like math. And that would be good, okay? But keep something in mind. I'm not trying to make you like math. I'm not trying to make you like me as a teacher. I'm just trying to get you to learn, okay? So I'm going to do my part, and if you do your part, we're going to be successful. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.